Good day, welcome to the Automotive Dad and welcome to the 2026 KGM Actyon. Now KGM has been around for quite a few years. Whilst a new name, previously known as SsangYong, they have been rife in British culture for about as far back as I can remember. And this KGM Actyon is, well, one of their newer additions to their UK lineup. A family-friendly crossover SUV, which is eco-friendly and, well, yeah, cost-effective. £39,000 on the road for this. Powered by a 1.5 litre petrol engine with a hybrid powertrain, bundles of interior capability and an exterior that looks good. On face value, this looks like a car which ticks a lot of boxes. So in this episode of the Automotive Dad, we have a look around and see how the 2026 KGM Actyon does as a family car. Now aesthetically for me this ticks a lot of boxes. Starting with the front end, a very sharp, nice and bold design. Lovely light clusters, cool radiator design, an LED daytime running light thing going on at the front. There's kind of a entrance and exit light with additional winglets on the bonnet up here. It's just a front end that looks really nice, and from a design point of view where everyone's going with a very similar design aesthetic, this follows it, but if anything is just a bit more advanced into it. It's a really cool looking design, reminding me somewhat of last generation JLR products with their sharp, sleek design. A good look is what I'm trying to say. But what about the side? The side keeps on with that nice design with 20-inch diamond cut alloys, lovely strong bold designs down the side, body colour, mirror finish, mirror cap thingies. And even though it's as an SUV, it's not kind of too bold here, but obviously giving you that design impression. The side is just sleek with nice lines running all the way to the back. It's quite a long looking car, but it's a good looking car. All of that brings you to a back end which is as refined and nicely designed as the rest of the car. Cool large logo like everyone is doing, although arguably it's usually not the model derivative that is in big letters, but it just tells you down here it's KGM, it's a hybrid. But it's nice sporty styling, finished in black. This looks really cool, and the back end is just not too overwhelming, but just a nice sleek design. And that kind of goes with the whole exterior aesthetic of this car, a nice sleek design that is just very in keeping and not too out there, and I really appreciate it. It's a great looking car. Now getting into the Actyon is a nice thing because immediately it feels like a very good build quality car. The doors have a lovely feel as you close them, the seats are nice and holding. The steering wheel is a design that kind of reminds me of a Corvette. Two 12.3-inch infotainment clusters, well, infotainment cluster and driver cluster, which are relatively adaptable. A nice gear switcher, USB plugs, loads of cubby holes and a good amount of headroom, and the interior design is very nice with a kind of wood effect going on up here. As a whole then it seems very good, but there are a few drawbacks. Well, one major drawback, and that is the infotainment system. Whilst this does have Apple CarPlay, it doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay, and the wired Apple CarPlay is a little bit buggy. The infotainment in general is just ever so slightly buggy. I managed to get Apple CarPlay to work for a record 2.5 hours yesterday, and that's it. In the entire time I've had this car, that is the only amount of time I've managed to have Apple CarPlay work, and because it's not wireless, you're basically relying on a lead. Now there could be 100,000 different things, but 5 different leads tell me that it might actually just be the infotainment, and on one occasion the infotainment didn't turn on when the car did, and when that happened it also meant I couldn't control the climate control. All it needed was for me to turn the car off for half an hour and come back out. But if you're on the road and you're going, that's annoying because you can't control the climate control, you can't change the audio settings, and you can't turn off all of the beeps and bongs that this car has, some of which louder than others. I'll get into that on the drive thing. The steering wheel itself, as I said, a nice design with actual buttons and pretty easy to learn. Down here you've got a customizable button and you can turn on and off your auto hold, kind of reminiscent of Porsche chassis plus things that you switch onto whatever setting that you want. But it's cool. The front end is nice. It's not totally perfect, but it's good quality, it's comfortable. Standard sound system's great, and there is bundles and bundles of storage. What about the kids zone? Okay, well, off the bat, the kids zone is very impressive with a huge amount of legroom, nice wide seats, cubby holes, chargers, ventilation, and window blinds. Family cars need window blinds. Not so many manufacturers know that, so they make very capable family cars that don't have these, so you end up having to buy them aftermarket, and there are solutions, but it's nice to have it as standard. This also has heated rear seats when you've got older kids or bigger passengers. And talking of bigger passengers, there is still headroom back here. The rear end's nice. There is storage. There is literally storage everywhere. And I cannot state enough just how much legroom there is in this car, because ultimately it's not a small car, but it's not a big car either. But it gives big car internals. It's impressive. It's a nice place to be, and the kids are very, very happy with all the buttons they can press to turn things on and off. You know what kids are like. But as a kid zone goes, impressive. What about the boot? Well, for a car that's made for families, it doesn't let down. 668 litres of boot space with the rear seats up. With them down, 1,568. Now, I'm sorry, that is hugely impressive. Huge amount of space. As standard put it down, it's gargantuous. And the big thing, it's wide. You can fit the widest of wide things in here with ease. And there's storage on the side. And there are buttons to open and close things. This is big enough almost to be a 7-seater. And the access height's good. It's an automatic open and close boot. It's a very well thought out family car from an interior point of view. This boot is impressive. The whole interior is generally, I'd give it 7.5 out of 10. That's pretty good going. Now, the drive of this car is surprisingly good. For something of this size, I didn't really expect it. So it's got 176 PS, 300 Newton meters of torque, top speed of 109, gets there in 9 seconds, out of a 1.5 litre petrol engine and a hybrid powertrain. So when it came to how it would actually drive, well, I wasn't quite sure. The first thing I did notice when I got in, though, was a lot of beeps and bongs, but actually it is literally a swipe and press to turn a majority of them off, and then one press and hold to turn the lane keep assist off, and then you're going. So yes, it does have a lot of different driver aids, but they're easy enough to turn off, which is great. And then the steering feels nice, the throttle is nice, the brake feel is good, ticking an awful lot of boxes very, very early on, like literally within the first 10 minutes of driving. But then as I got further into my week with it, I noticed one big problem. That 1.5 litre petrol engine has to work awfully hard to move this around, because it does only have 176 PS. Now, around town, on the right run, you can see 35 miles to the gallon out of it. They claim 46 WLTP combined even. I don't know how, because even driving this like Miss Daisy, the closest I've got of driving at like 55 miles an hour is 38.3 miles per gallon. I'm not quite sure how they've achieved it. It must be achievable, but I'm not quite sure how, because on the motorway especially, this has to work incredibly hard, and when you're just around town, it also has to work incredibly hard because it's not a totally light car. It is a bigger car. You can tow 1,300 kilograms behind it, noting the tow bar on the back of this car. So from a drive point of view, I was a bit let down from that regards, but then I got into some twisties, and I suddenly went, well, wait a minute, this is a big car, but it's not lumbering everywhere and it's gripping onto the road. The way that this car drives is really nice. And so I just I felt a little bit let down by the fact that they could potentially have got slightly better fuel economy out of it. But equally, not the end of the world. It's not horrific. I mean, on a 152 mile journey that I've done, it's 38.3 miles per gallon, which for a vehicle of this size is fine. But just a little bit like, yeah, but you're saying you can get 46. How have you got 46? But the drive's nice. Every now and then there's a slight bug in the infotainment system, which meant when I was asking it to set at 60 miles an hour, it was going, oh no, my maximum speed is 100 miles an hour, and it was getting confused between miles an hour and kilometers per hour as to what you wanted it to lock onto. So as a result, you ended up doing like 53 miles an hour on cruise control. The only way to then get out of that was to completely reset the car. Just slight little technological issues. There's an awful lot of people trying to fill up at the petrol station, blocking the road. That makes no sense at all. Welcome to the South Coast. As a whole, the drive was pretty pleasant. Nice steering response. good throttle response, nice brake feel, okay fuel economy, could be better, but okay. And all of that for a car which costs about £39,000 on the road. It's pretty impressive. And as my first time driving a KGM, I was pretty impressed. Not completely blown away, but this is a very good, reasonable family car to drive. And it's not going to get boring, and there's loads of tech to keep you occupied whilst you're on long journeys. And genuinely, on the motorway, this is just comfortable. Noting how I said that it seems quite firm through corners in a good way. On the motorway, well, it kind of turns that all off. As in it doesn't, but it's just the dampening's really good. Ironically though, if you go over a really bad pothole, the dampening on the steering kind of throws the steering wheel everywhere. So it could be slightly better in that regard, but yeah, it's a pretty reasonable all-rounder. Very impressive. So genuinely, this is a very appetizing addition to the family car segment, because this is a very good looking car. Like, no questions. This is a fantastic looking thing. And from an interior point of view, for the most part, besides a few technological bugs, great to be in. Nice design, great build quality, very, very family friendly, and a boot that is just follows up everything that you could ask it to. And then when it comes to the drive, as long as you live a life which suits this kind of drive cycle, the fuel economy is achievable. But if you live in my kind of cycle, or you spend a lot of time on the motorway, not so much so. But as a whole thing, this is a 7.5 out of 10 car. It looks good, it's got a good interior, and the drive is great. Genuinely, if that economy could be slightly better, it would be a 9 out of 10. So good job, KGM, on a very, very well-rounded family car.